My name's Daniel Bedingfield. I am going to AI myself and teach myself how to make AI video. So this is the process. The reason I'm making this video is because my best friend has a company, this company. Shit ton of jobs, really high level jobs, big budgets, and they're looking for creative people to help them finish these jobs, but nobody's trained yet. So that's one of the reasons this video is important. If you train yourself with this video, there's likely to be real jobs at the other end of this if you're any good at it. It's because this industry is about to explode and they need people who are good technically and creatively. Promptmuse and Carychao are here to give you advice. You can hire them to teach you. This is supposed to be a pipeline to help create a new AI VFX industry. This is Carychao. He's an expert at a lot of things to do with AI. He's been on it for ages. I trust him and he's my friend. I love him. He's going to take me through the process of making AI videos. Video to video only, and we're going to use warp fusion because that's the coolest shit in the whole fucking world. Stable warp fusion.
Have you been enjoying Kaiber?
Yeah, he's talking about this app you're using right now.
I'll be using Kaiber to animate while I'm talking to you, while I teach you how to use something a lot better. This link here to download Kaiber and practice the videos I'm making right now. If you want to make much more interesting and original videos, then I'm about to show you how. The edits were made in Davinci Resolve, which is what everyone's using now, especially because it has like AI cool shit.
So this is Alex's Patreon, where he posts examples and Jupyter Notebook updates, usually a couple times a week. It's a great Patreon to subscribe to for that reason. It's very valuable.
This is Alex. I'm in the hospital. Alex, the creator of Stable Warp Fusion, he invented this whole thing. We're gonna support him on Patreon, which is sxela, I guess, sxela. If you look in the supporters page, my name is there.
Yeah, there we go. The IPYNB, that's a Jupyter Notebook extension. So we'll want 1310, I suppose, the latest. So clicking that downloads it to your computer, and then from there we'll upload it to Colab.
For this, you're going to need a Google Drive with enough storage. So I think a basic Google Drive will do for now. And along with your Google Drive account, you need to also get a Google Colab account,
so we can use Google's GPUs to run it. Honestly, they come so fast and furious that I just save them to I think there's even a free level with kind of lesser machines. These are machines that businesses generally rent, but in between times when they're renting them, the downtime, the GPUs are available, a pool of them, and this is what you're grabbing from. What you need to do is upload the file that we just downloaded. So go to File, and we're going to upload a notebook. And every time Alex comes out with a new one of these, this is the step to take.
Okay.
All right, cool. So this is in your Google Colab, a change log, credits, something he has to say about copyrights. The place where we're really starting here is step one, setup. And the first thing to do is to connect to Google Drive so it can save models. It's going to save some control net models. This is where you're going to upload models, specialized fine-tuning models that you might use with Dream Booth or whatever, or LoRa's.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. You'll see that it has kind of its default place where it's going to save things unless you choose to save it elsewhere. So we can make that choice in a second. Let's go back to Stable Warp and connect to the Google Drive. So you press this play button with a circle around it. That's the go button to run that cell. And it's going to run that block of code. And basically we're going to scroll down and run one block after the other, but you set the parameters before you run it.
Connect to Google Drive.
Yeah. So it's going to save the results on Google Drive. So you'll have, all the frames that you generate there. It's quite handy. Okay. So here's Xformers. And sometimes you'll see the code You can always expand the code if you're curious or you want to change something. Go ahead and scroll to the top of that code block. We don't need to get into the code, but we do need to press that go button, the top left. And that'll run that cell. So now Xformers is installed. And now the next one, 1.2, we can go ahead and play it again. There's going to be about a dozen of these, and a couple of them will make changes to. Yeah, let's do them one at a time here, just because soon there will be some with settings. So 1.4, go ahead and run that. 1.5, run that. Yeah, see, that one is queued up. It's got the dashed lines around it. So the one that's got that loading animation around it,
yep,
that one's running. That cell's running. And the cell that's queued up is the one with the dashed lines. So that will run next after the top one finishes. You already have clicked on it, which is why it's doing that separate animation. And so you can click on the 1.4.
It's going to queue them all up in order. Great.
It's going to queue them. All right, so slow down here. Don't press that one yet. Here are some settings that we'll want to change. Go ahead and scroll up a little bit so we can see the range of settings. Okay, that's it. So the batch name, this is going to be the folder name that it saves your run in. You'll generally want to change this anytime you're using a different init. I would go ahead and give it a different name.
Yep.
Okay, and then there's the aspect ratio, the width and the height. If you want it landscape, go ahead and switch those two numbers. So go ahead and queue that cell up. Animation settings. You can use this to do like a small test video that is just looping. I generally don't do that. It's a good idea to run these cells anyways, because they sometimes refer to variables that are set. Okay, got some choices for us. The video init path. So Daniel, do you have a video you'd like to stylize?
I do, yeah.
Good. You go back to Stable Warp and take a look at the video init path that he uses.
Mm-hmm.
So the beginning few things, they're really not an option. It's just how Google names things. The /content/drive and /my drive. Yeah. That is basically the base. You can't change that. But anything after that, you can, you're in the root folder of your Google Drive. So for instance, if you have Colab notebooks, you would right after my drive, you'd do /Colab notebooks and then and then the name of the file that you upload. I think you had capitalized it.
Space is fine.
I think it can deal with that.
Okay.
We'll see. It'll just error out if not. So go ahead and upload your video to that folder. It doesn't really matter what the video is, but whatever it is, we'll be able to work with it. We'll just wait less if it's short.
Okay.
Did you upload it to Google Drive? You want to verify that it's in there?
Yeah.
Okay. These other settings we don't have to dive into right now because we're just doing 0 to hero. But here, scroll down a little bit. Good. We can run that cell. In general, what you're doing there is you're putting in the path to the video that you want to work with. We will just use as the mask source the initial video itself because there are some settings that can take advantage of that. So go ahead and run that cell. You can run the setup optical flow cell. The generate optical flow and consistency maps, it's going to do all this pre-processing of your video to be able to do the warping and different cool things it does later on. Automatic scene detection if you want to use that. And there's all kinds of things. And this takes a little while depending on the size of your file. But yeah, go ahead and start generate. There's a lot of variables and parameters that are exposed here. This is what you don't get with Kaiber, right? With Kaiber, very few options. This gives you a lot of options. Most of them you don't have to fiddle with in order to start getting frames. And generally, the best practice is to change one variable at a time, see what the outcome is, and slowly work through them. There's its preprocessor work.
Wow.
It's kind of cool. It kind of gives you a hint for the intelligence that it's pulling out of the frames. The next cell is interesting. It's loading up a version of Stable Diffusion. This can be a fine tuning that you've made. This is one place where you really have a lot more control versus the cookie cutter websites that just have their models. If you really want to do an avatar of you want a fine tuning of you that you do a Dream Booth training or a LoRa training of. And then you do the initial video of you, have the fine tuning of you applied to it. It's going to look a lot like you. So the model version here, we do want multi-control net. Control net is super cool. It's going to download the control net for us. You can see it below. I think the CPU is preferable, so it leaves the GPU for crunching frames. The model path, you're going to need to download that. So go ahead and open up another tab. Go to civet Civit.ai, CIVIT. This is a great resource, and search for Protogen. This has LoRa models, checkpoint fine tunings, embeddings. It's a great resource. Yeah, I mean, I guess you have to go for the highest version number. Let's say it's 5.8. And it seems like it's got a sci-fi anime specialty. And you can scroll through the images there with the arrows to see if it's the style that you want. And those are generations from this model too. So what you want to see usually is that it's not like hyper specific. The kinds of images that you want to see, you can see among these.
Download this.
Yeah. So it's about 2 gigs. It's going to take a moment. You got to download that and then upload it to Google Drive. It's going to want this models directory. You can go ahead and make that folder, the models folder in Google Drive, because there's going to be other stuff that you want to put in the models folder. That'll download and then upload. And so we'll need to give it a moment to do that. But in the meanwhile, let's go back to the stable warp. And there's something else that we can have it do in the background for us. Let's click force download for ControlNet. And it's going to download the ControlNet models to the models folder. You made your models folder in the Colab notebooks folder and run the cell. So we will rerun the cell later when we have the right name for the checkpoint. We can see at the bottom of the cell, its output of what it's doing. It's going to download the 1.5 set of ControlNet models. These things make all the difference. The depth map model, the ScribbleNet, there's like a dozen of them. It's a whole world to play in to see which features you want to follow. Open pose is really good. It decomposes the person in the video into nodes and then uses those nodes to drive people it generates. So basically it takes your position and your expression and applies it to the new character. Checkpoints, you can have one checkpoint generally for making your images, but you can have multiple LoRa models, LoRa.
Now, what's a checkpoint?
The checkpoint is a version of the stable diffusion checkpoint that has been nudged in the direction to like overwrite some keyword like man with Daniel, right? So whenever a man comes up or the keyword that you've clobbered, your fine-tuned images tend heavy in that direction.
A checkpoint is a replacement of a term.
A checkpoint is this model of latent space that we're grabbing these images from. It's the big deal. It's the thing that stable diffusion came up with and Runway ML. And it's the thing that when they open sourced it, allowed everybody just to go bananas.
These are a bunch of LoRas that someone else has already trained.
You can use one checkpoint, but you can use multiple LoRas. So if you wanted bronze statue Daniel, you could have a fine tuning of a checkpoint based on you, and then have a LoRa of bronze statue.
It doesn't look possible to have a LoRa of men. Here we are.
There's one.
There you go.
Don't mistake the cover image for what's possible with it. Some of these will be heavily skewed towards anime women, but many of them are completely usable just for that style. So go ahead and start uploading your checkpoint to your Google Drive.
So just drag it into here?
Yeah. And you can see the progress on the right-hand side. Looks like that'll take an hour and a half. So or maybe it'll speed up. All right, let's go back to stable warp and see where we're at with that. All right, it's run. You can go over to your Google Drive models folder and see what you collected. Maybe you need to upload those yourself. We can look through the rest of the things. So first we can see if we can collect more ControlNet models for you. Go to Hugging Face. Tiled Vey, you're going to run that one. Clip Guidance, you'll want to run that. You can click on the gray bar to open them, or just leave it collapsed and run all of them without getting into it. Yeah, and it doesn't show the checkbox after it's run those. Go ahead and do the next 3. They each have interesting parameters. You can pop one open if you want. You would just click on where it says one cell hidden. Yeah, and you can run that one. The LoRa embedding path, that would be the same thing in your Google Drive.
Okay.
This will just take 5 more minutes. All right, and go ahead and run that cell. And if you download any LoRa's or embeddings, that's where you'll want to put them in your Google Drive. Okay, now you run the GUI cell, which is below, and this is where you'll spend most of your time. It's got a little widget here with a bunch of tabs and so many parameters, you know. So put your mouse in that cell down there and scroll to the top.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see there's 7 tabs, 8 tabs across the top. The main one is prompt there at the top and negative prompt. You know, all these settings do something. What's cool is you'll be able to run this with these settings and be making frames. For the 0 to hero move, you're good to go here.
Okay.
Beyond that, of course, there's like lots of different parameters and so many things to get into. And of course, when you change one, then another one, its effect is different. And so it's, you know,
Thank you so much, dude. That's awesome.
Crazy.
Michael, thank you so much. You sweet man.
With this in your hands, you'll be able to make some things that are sweet. One more thing, just right below this cell. Once you're done with this, you scroll down, you'll want to run the reference control net. And then to do the renders, you click this run button. And then below that, so this will make frames. And then below that is the area where you'll make the video out of the frames.
Wow.
And then that's the complete journey.
Wow. And then shut down runtime. I don't need that.
That's for if you have it running overnight.
Yeah.
Google will keep charging you as long as this is open. That will automatically shut it down after your session.
Michael, thank you so much. I've gone 0 to hero. You're amazing. I can't wait to do this. Thank you.
All right, bro.
I'm going to do a bunch of these. This is the first one. I'll try to keep you updated. Follow me if you want to learn how to do it, and get in touch with me if you have stuff you want to show me. Pop me a message if you want to talk about this more. I'm more interested if you have done this video and created some output and you think it's great, then I'd like to see it. If you haven't been through this video, there's no point. Sorry. I had great fun making this video. I hope you liked it. Like and subscribe. See you soon. Watch this space. Ah.